Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, US announces multinational protection force for Red Sea and Gulf of Aden after Houthi attacks on commercial shipping. Israel thanks US for Red Sea initiative. IDF calls the video of 3 elderly hostages released by Hamas a criminal terrorist video as UN Security Council to vote on Tuesday on new Gaza ceasefire call after postponement. A 6.2 magnitude earthquake in northwest China's Gansu province claims 116 lives. Search and rescue operations underway. India will take on South Africa in the second ODI of the 3-match series. All eyes on Arshdeep and Avesh after heroics in the first match. Amid spike in attacks by Iran-backed Houthi forces in Red Sea, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin made the announcement of a multinational task force to protect commerce. Operation Prosperity Guardian has been welcomed by Israel. Countries identified by the U.S. to join the security group include the United Kingdom, Canada, France, Bahrain, Norway and Spain. Several major shipping lines have suspended navigation through the Red Sea after the rebels targeted ships they believed were heading for Israel. The Red Sea is one of the world's most vital shipping routes. DD India's Kate Fisher gets us details from Washington.
The Houthis have warned against sailing in the Red Sea, saying they're attacking vessels with links to Israel in protest at its military offensive against Hamas in Gaza. On Monday, the US said that the warship, the USS Carney, responded to a distress call from a commercial vessel after it was attacked by multiple projectiles in the southern Red Sea. The Houthis claimed responsibility and said they also attacked another ship, saying that both were linked to Israel. The Houthis warned that no harm will be dealt to ships except for those heading for Israeli ports. But the ship's owner, Inventor Chemical Tankers, said that there is no Israeli link in the ownership, technical management or cargo of the vessel. Until now, the White House has been reluctant to respond militarily for fear of provoking Iran, but an uptick in attacks could change that.
In the Red Sea, we're leading a multinational maritime task force to uphold the bedrock principle of freedom of navigation. Iran's support for Houthi attacks on commercial vessels must stop.
Millions of barrels of oil pass through the Red Sea daily. And reports in US media suggest that the Biden administration is weighing its military options and has moved the Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group from the Persian Gulf into the Gulf of Aden, just off the coast of Yemen. It's also said to be considering shoring up protections for commercial ships alongside members of the Combined Maritime Forces, which is a multinational naval task force charged with protecting commercial shipping in the Red Sea. In recent months, the US has responded to attacks by launching strikes against weapons depots and storage facilities used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its proxy militia groups in eastern Syria and Iraq. Kate Fisher in Washington reporting for DD India.
U.S. fertilizer company Mosaic MOSN on Monday rerouted a couple of US-bound fertilizer shipments around the Cape of Good Hope rather than through the Red Sea amid Houthi terrorist attacks on ships in the region. Yemen's Houthi movement attacked 2 commercial ships in the Red Sea with naval drones on Monday. The Houthis say that they have been attacking vessels in the Red Sea with links to Israel in protest against its military offensive against Hamas in Gaza and have warned against sailing towards the area, prompting company shipments to be rerouted. Oil prices are showing fresh gains after 7 weeks of decline amid pressure on the trade in view of increased attacks on the vessels in the Red Sea zone. Oil rose nearly 2% on Monday as investors worried about disruptions to maritime trade and supply costs after Iran-aligned Yemeni Houthi militant group attacked ships in the Red Sea. Oil prices were higher on Monday, with international benchmark Brent trading up 2.6% to almost $79 a barrel. It's day 74th of the Israel-Hamas conflict today. Up your screens, we'll get you a video, a 1-minute video in fact, and this message was posted by Hamas terrorists on Monday, showing 3 elderly Israeli hostages pleading for their release. An old man, seated in the middle of 2 others around the same age, described their harsh living conditions. He said, "Our generation built the foundation of the creation of Israel and started the IDF military, and thus urged the government not to leave them abandoned." Israeli military condemned the video released by Hamas, describing it as a criminal terrorist one.
The video that Hamas released in the past hour is a criminal terror video. It testifies to Hamas' cruelty towards innocent, very elderly civilians who are in need of medical care. The world must act in order to deliver medical aid and check on the state of the hostages. We are morally obliged to do every and all the efforts in order to bring the hostages back home. Our heart is with all hostages and their families.
Among the crowd of protesters chanting for immediate release of hostages, a daughter-in-law of one of the elderly hostages voiced mixed feelings. Let's listen in.
It was a joy for a moment to see them alive, to see them okay, sitting, talking. That's it. It was shocking to see them like this. Like Muslims, they with their long beards, but they're the same people I know. But they lost weight and seem to be weak. And we miss him, and we want him back. We make everything to bring him back soon.
All right, turning focus to Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now, time is running out for U.S. lawmakers to clinch a border security deal needed to unlock more funding for Ukraine before Congress breaks for the holiday. Senators remain deadlocked as hardline Republicans demand immigration reform before they open the financial spigots. Tony Waterman has more on this.
Talks ramped up on Monday after a small bipartisan group of senators and White House representatives worked through the weekend trying to hammer out this deal to replenish $110 billion in military aid to U.S. allies. But lawmakers have not yet been able to agree on a framework. The aid money itself is not really the issue here. There is broad bipartisan support for the $60 billion that would go to Ukraine and the $14 billion that would go to Israel to help them in their respective war efforts. But that money is being held up by Republicans who say their vote hinges on U.S. immigration reform. They want tougher rules put in place to help limit migration flows after a record number of border crossings in the past couple of years. Some Senate Republicans have suggested migrants prove they were denied asylum in at least one other country along their route to the U.S. Others want to raise the bar for migrants to prove their lives were in danger in their home countries. These are non-starters for many Democrats, although President Joe Biden has said he's willing to make significant compromises on the border in order to get this deal done. Any agreement, though, would have to pass both chambers of Congress, and the House has already gone home for the holidays, meaning it will take a Christmas miracle to get this deal done before next year. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Russia's diplomatic mission to the EU has said that new sanctions imposed by the bloc showed that punitive measures against Moscow have failed. The EU introduced its 12th set of sanctions against Russia on Monday, which will focus on a ban on Russian origin diamonds, imposes additional import and export bans on Russia, and also seeks to combat sanction circumvention and closing loops. The ban on direct non-industrial diamond purchases from Russia will start off from January 1st, followed by a phased ban on indirect imports to be completed by 1st September. Ukraine has said the new EU sanctions will truly help reduce Russia's economic foundation for the war against Ukraine.
I want to express gratitude to our partners in the European Union. We have the approval of the 12th package of EU sanctions. It is important that for the first time, a ban on Russian diamonds has been introduced. There are new measures against the circumvention of sanctions and the supply of goods and technologies of dual use to Russia. There are new restrictions on imports from Russia. All of this will truly help reduce the economic foundation of the war. And we will continue to work with our partners to ensure that the sanctions imposed by Europe work globally.
Finland signed an agreement to enhance military cooperation with the United States a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin warned the neighboring country over its entrance into NATO. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Finnish Foreign Minister Elina Valtonen, and Finnish Defense Minister Antti Hakanen participated in the signing of their new defense cooperation agreement. The agreement will serve as a rule book for U.S. military presence and aid in Finland. The agreement lists 15 facilities and areas in Finland to which the U.S. military will have unimpeded access and where it can also store military equipment and ammunition. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping during a visit to China on 19th and 20th of December. Mishustin will hold talks with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang. Now, this is the latest in a series of exchanges between Moscow and Beijing aimed at bolstering a no-limits partnership between the two countries. Dasha Chernishova gets us details from Moscow.
Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin is due in China for a two-day visit. He will hold negotiations with his Chinese counterpart and China's President Xi Jinping. The talks in China will focus on extending trade and economic partnership between the two countries, but also the declared no-limits partnership, strategic cooperation, humanitarian and inter-regional exchanges. Regular meetings between Chinese and Russian heads of government are seen as a vital mechanism for promoting cooperation between the two countries in various fields. Russian Cabinet of Ministers added that a joint communique will be adopted as a result of the talks in Beijing, and several documents will be signed as well. According to the Russian officials, ties between Moscow and Beijing have reached unprecedentedly high levels. In 2023, trade turnover is expected to exceed $200 billion, a very important benchmark. And 90% of bilateral transactions are carried out in national currencies. The two countries have increased cooperation in the energy sphere as well, with Russia seeking new partnerships after Western sanctions were imposed in 2022. Dasha Chernishova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
A magnitude 6.2 earthquake jolted northwest Gansu province around midnight on Tuesday, killing at least 116 people and injuring over 250. Rescue and relief efforts are underway, with number of missing people in the quake's aftermath remains unknown. A working group has been dispatched to assess the impact of the disaster. Over 2,200 rescue personnel from the provincial fire department and forest brigade, as well as professional emergency rescue teams, will help at the disaster zone. Military and police were also engaged in the rescue work. As the disaster area is in a high-altitude region where the weather is cold, rescue efforts are working to prevent secondary disasters caused by factors beyond the quake. Andrew Wood is sharing more details from Hong Kong.
Specialist teams have been dispatched and are said to have arrived. The military, the police are also helping, and from the province itself, police, firefighters and also people from the forestry department are helping too. There are no estimates yet of how many people might be missing as a result of this. This happened 1 minute before midnight late on Monday. It is very cold there at the moment. The temperature in a nearby town to the east of the affected area is down to about -15. Now, the site of this earthquake is on the edge of the Tibetan plateau, and that's an area that is pretty active seismically. So the worry is that there will be further aftershocks as well as the cold hampering the rescue efforts, causing more deaths. In the first sort of 6 or 7 hours, there were reported to be 9 aftershocks of at least magnitude 3, and two of those aftershocks were magnitude 4. This area is not very is sparsely populated. And the worry is that if it had hit a town directly, then you have many of the casualties, many of the victims are close together in one place. This appears, although we still need confirmation on this, to have hit an area where the population is spread out. So it's going to take longer to find people who may have been affected. Now, on the good news side, the electricity apparently is being restored again. But at the moment, as to what's going to happen in the next day or so, we just don't know.
Australia's northeast experienced flood damages from former tropical cyclone Jasper, causing widespread damage and stranded people in remote towns. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called it a difficult time for flood victims. Jasper, a Category 2 storm, poured months of rain over 4 days, cutting off entire towns and inundating homes, roads and farms. Military personnel have joined emergency crew for evacuation and relief efforts. The Reykjanes volcano in southwest Iceland erupted on Monday, spewing lava and smoke into the air after weeks of intense earthquake activity, stated the country's meteorological office. Authorities had already evacuated nearly 4,000 inhabitants of the fishing town of Grindavik and closed the nearby Blue Lagoon geothermal spa. The area had recently witnessed increased quake activities, which officials believe to have caused the volcano. Fearing a significant outbreak, the National Police was already on alert, and the country's civil defense warned locals to keep away from the area while emergency personnel assessed the situation. A Coast Guard helicopter was also on standby for any emergency. You're watching DD India News Hour. Up next, we're heading for a short break. But after the break, US, Japan and South Korea activate real-time tracking of North Korean missiles. Texas governor signs bill allowing police to arrest migrants entering the U.S. illegally. And Salajland Christmas theme park in Croatia displays 5 million bulbs.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's continue getting more international updates for you. The United States, Japan and South Korea said on Tuesday that they had a fully activated system to detect and assess North Korea's missile launches in real time and will conduct more trilateral military exercises in the region. The announcement comes a day after North Korea test-fired Hwasong-18 intercontinental ballistic missile, claiming the move as a warning message to the United States and its allies in the face of mounting hostility. The missile is said potentially to be able to reach the continental U.S. The act was strongly condemned by the U.S., Japan and South Korea, who claimed it to be threatening for regional peace. In response to North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missile launch on Monday, the United States Special Warfare Forces and South Korea conducted joint drills. The drills aim to showcase the military prowess of Japan, US and South Korea against North Korea in the face of looming conflict-like situation in the region. Moscow is hosting the Parliamentary Assembly of the Collective Security Treaty Organization countries on Tuesday, but Armenia is not joining again. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan expressed in a parliamentary session last month that CSTO had not shown the necessary sensitivity to his country's security issues, so Yerevan was looking for other security partners. Dasha Chernishova spells out more details from Moscow.
Parliamentary delegations of Collective Security Treaty Organization countries are heading to the Russian capital for the Parliamentary Assembly meeting. These are the regular meetings aimed at bolstering cooperation within the CSTO. The organization comprises of Armenia, Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. But this year, Armenian delegation is not attending the meeting in Moscow. Armenian officials have also declined to attend the leaders' meeting in Minsk earlier this year. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said that Azerbaijan's actions and the inaction of CSTO have forced Yerevan to seek to diversify its relations in the security area. At the same time, the organization's Secretary General Imangali Tasmagambetov said that the withdrawal of Yerevan from the bloc was not on the table. The Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Pankin was earlier quoted as saying that the physical absence of Armenia from CSTO meetings does not significantly hinder the process of coordination by other member countries or the adoption of collective documents. Earlier, Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said that Armenia's decision to skip the CSTO Leaders Summit did not meet the long-term interests of the Armenian people and does not contribute to the strengthening of security and stability of Armenia. Dasha Cherneshova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
The official death toll from the explosion at an oil terminal in Guinea's capital, Conakry, rose to at least 13, with 178 injured. The origin of the fire was unknown, and an investigation could be launched to determine what caused it and any parties responsible, the government said in a statement. Workers, excluding defense, security and medical personnel, were advised to stay at home. Schools and most gas stations were also closed. An investigation will be launched to determine what caused the incident and any parties responsible, the government said. Justice Arthur Engoron, who was hearing Trump's civil fraud case, wrote that the expert witness who testified at the trial had lost all credibility as he doggedly justified the former U.S. president's business records. The judge wrote this in a scathing denial of Trump's request for the case to be decided in his favor. The trial has focused mostly on damages, as Engoron ruled that Trump and his adult sons manipulated financial statements to dupe banks and insurers. Trump, who is the leading contender for the Republican presidential nomination, has denied any wrongdoing and called the case politically motivated. Closing arguments in the trial are set for January 11th. Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Monday signed a law allowing state law enforcement to arrest people suspected of crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. The move came on International Migration Day, aiming to curb illegal migration into U.S. from Mexico and other countries. Known as SB 4, the law will take effect in March and create a new state crime for illegal entry or re-entry into Texas, with penalties ranging from 180 days in jail to 20 years in prison for those refusing to comply. Abbott also signed another bill giving $1.5 million for border enforcement. In November, Abbott had signed a law to increase penalties for human smuggling. Hundreds of migrants protested at the southern Tapachula migration station, demanding the Mexican government speed up its permits so that they can transit freely through the country. On the northern side, dozens of migrants crossed the Rio Bravo to hand themselves to the U.S. National Guards seeking asylum. Border security is becoming the focal issue for the 2024 U.S. presidential campaign as Republicans force the government for tighter immigration policies. German vaccine maker BioNTech aims to start production at its mRNA vaccine factory site in Rwanda in 2025. Now, this will be the first foreign mRNA vaccine manufacturing site on the continent, company officials said on Monday, adding that this is a fully funded facility with a total outlay of $150 million. The move to start production in Africa is also part of BioNTech's push to expand manufacturing globally. The firm has so far relied on its German sites for mRNA production, as well as on sites run by its partner Pfizer in the US and Belgium. Venezuela and Spain's Repsol SA signed a new contract for a jointly run oil venture as the Andean nation seeks to ramp up production after the U.S. eased sanctions. The announcement followed a meeting between Venezuelan Oil Minister Pedro Telequia and Repsol's upstream chief Francisco Gia in Caracas. Repsol is the third oil giant to sign new agreements with Venezuela since Chevron Corporation was granted a special license to resume production here. The agreement comes less than 6 weeks after France's Morel and Crom also signed a pact to expand oil and gas production in Venezuela. All right, let's give you a quick look at elections being held across various parts of the world. Hundreds of Serbian opposition supporters rallied outside the State Election Commission in Belgrade, pointing to Sunday's parliamentary election being rigged. Supporters of the center-left opposition alliance, Serbia Against Violence, briefly tried to break through a security fence and pelted the commission's building. Opposition leaders Miroslav Aleksic and Marinika Tepic said the SPN submitted evidence of election fraud, also announced that they would go on a hunger strike until the commission meets opposition demands. Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi held his last political rally on Sunday ahead of Wednesday's polls in a bid to retain his seat as the leader of the Central African country. Felix threatened to declare war on Rwanda during his final election rally in Kinshasa. Some 44 million registered voters are set to cast ballots in the vast Central African nation of about 100 million people on December 20th in presidential, parliamentary, provincial and municipal polls. Tshisekedi faces off against more than 24 rivals in a general election. Chile voters rejected a proposed conservative constitution to replace Chile's dictatorship-era charter. With nearly all votes counted late on Sunday, about 55.8% had voted no to the new charter, with about 44.2% in favor. The vote came more than a year after Chileans resoundingly rejected the proposed constitution. After results were disclosed, President Gabriel Boric reiterated his government would not pursue a third rewrite and would move forward with pension and tax reform through the legislature. Iraqis voted in the first provincial council elections in a decade, where the ruling Shiite Muslim alliance is expected to extend its hold on power amid a boycott by their main political rival. Around 6.6 million voters cast ballots ahead of the announcement of preliminary results on Tuesday. Voter turnout closely matched that of the 2021 parliamentary vote, also 41%. The election is seen as a test of Iraq's young democracy installed by the US after the toppling of Saddam Hussein in 2003. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has swept to a third six-year term as Egypt's president, winning 89.6% of the vote in an election in which he faced no serious challengers. The election took place as Egypt struggles with the slow-burning economic crisis and tries to manage the risk of spillover from the war in Gaza. Voting in Egypt was held over 3 days, from 10th to 12th of December. The election featured 3 other candidates, but none of them were high profile. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. A driver crashed into a ravine on Sonoma County's Highway 1 in California. 2 tactical flight officers were flown to the scene, one officer being lowered into the ravine and lifting the driver to safety. The crash victim was transported to a nearby Monte Rio Fire Department station for medical treatment. Demi Lovato and musician Jordan Lutz are set to marry. Lovato, a Grammy-nominated performer, made a public comeback in 2020 and is now a spokesperson for mental health app Talkspace. Salajland Christmas-themed park in Croatia has created a festival of lights and grows each year, reaching 5 million bulbs. The park, located in Grabovnica near Sasma, attracts visitors from around the world. The park was started with 70,000 lamps in 2001 and it has grown to attract around 100,000 annually now. We're heading for a short break on DD India News Hour, but after the break, we get you updates on extremely heavy rains unleashing floods across 4 districts in southern part of India's Tamil Nadu. IMD issues yellow alert. Merchant creates Ayodhya Ram Temple themed necklace in India's diamond city of Gujarat. And we show you a unique ram fork performed by specially abled children.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick look at the top stories once again. US announces multinational protection force for Red Sea and Gulf of Aden after Houthi attacks on commercial shipping. Israel thanks US for Red Sea initiative. IDF calls the video of 3 elderly hostages released by Hamas a criminal terrorist video as UN Security Council to vote on Tuesday on new Gaza ceasefire call for after postponement. A 6.2 magnitude earthquake in northwest China's Gansu province claims 116 lives. Search and rescue operation underway. India will take on South Africa in the second ODI of the 3-match series. All eyes on Arshdeep and Avesh after heroics in the first match. The Indian government has made masks mandatory for people over 60 years of age, those with heart and kidney diseases and the ones with fever, phlegm and colds amid the JN1 subvariant scare. With 1,828 active cases and 1 death related to the variant, the situation is under control. A nationwide advisory has also been issued to the states in lieu of the surge in COVID cases. It called for maintaining a state of constant vigil. States are advised to ensure adequate testing. Also, India's Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia will review the situation on 20th December with health ministers and chief secretaries and all the states and union territories. Sam Kadaminitha is joining us with more from Kochi. Sam, Kerala Health Minister had said that COVID-19 subvariant JN1 is not a cause of concern as of now. Get us the latest on the current situation. How is it like?
Kerala Health Minister Veena George said that reports about the spike in COVID-19 cases in Kerala is baseless. The efficient surveillance mechanism in the state had helped to identify the known cases of the infection by the JN1 variant. Health Minister also said that the casualties reported in the state were due to the comorbidities, not due to the JN1 or COVID infection. Minister also said that the situation is being closely monitored to detect any abnormal increase in the use of ICU beds and ventilators. Meanwhile, the opposition leader accused the government trying to cover up the spike in COVID cases because of the Nava Kerala Sadas being conducted by the state cabinet. Citing reports by the Ministry of Health, he said 1,600 of the 1,800 cases in the country had been reported from Kerala. There were 4 deaths and 111 new cases were reported on Sunday alone. He said, calling on the government to take immediate action before people start panicking about the spread of the virus.
Sam, also let us know, have any restrictions been imposed on the border with the neighboring states?
No, presently there are no restrictions imposed by government for passengers within the country or abroad. There are no emergencies or containments on currently announced. Hence, there are no travel restrictions as of now.
Sam, also, just for the benefit of our viewers, can you apprise us with the symptoms and severity of this variant?
JN1 variant growth indicates that it is more transmissible or better at evading immune systems. Currently, there is no evidence that JN1 presents an increased risk to health compared to the other variants, and also no indications of increased severity from JN1. According to the State Health Department, only one of the samples from the patient sent for the whole genome sequencing and returned positive for JN1. The patient, a native from Thiruvananthapuram, is now at home after treatment, and the patient is getting better now. And there is nothing to worry presently.
All right, Sam, thank you so much for joining in with those details. And now we'll turn focus to Tamil Nadu. 3 people have been killed as the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu witnesses extremely heavy rainfall. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a yellow alert in 4 of the most affected districts of the state. Indian Minister M.K. Stalin is set to convene a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which includes briefing the Prime Minister about the dire situation in the southern districts and appealing for financial aid to address the overwhelming devastation caused by the floods. Transportation services have been severely impacted, with train, bus and flight services suspended in the region. Chief Secretary Shiv Das Meena disclosed that 17 state disaster response force and NDRF teams are actively engaged in relief efforts in most severely affected areas, with the Indian Navy and Coast Guard joining hands in the rescue operations, employing helicopters to reach the affected areas. Anbarasan joins us with more from Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. Anbarasan, we've told our viewers that yellow alert has been issued by the IMD for 4 districts in Tamil Nadu. Spell out more details as to how has the day begun and get us more details on the specific districts where yellow alert has been sounded.
Yes, IMD issued a yellow alert for today and tomorrow in the 4 southern districts of Tamil Nadu, Tirunelveli, Kanyakumari, Tenkasi and Tuticorin. And due to the heavy rainfall in these 4 districts, there is a 1 lakh cubic waters has been released from the Servalar and Manimattuara Dam of Tirunelveli district. And behind me you can see that there is a mighty Tamrabarani river which is carrying right now around 1 lakh cubic water from the Western Ghats, and it has been went to the banks of both Tirunelveli and Tuticorin district. So these banks, nearby areas and the residential parts of both district has been heavily flooded, and people's life has been affected due to that. And also the NDRF team and the Coast Guard, Navy and every central government agencies and the forces has been deployed to the rescue and relief works. And also there is a Chennai and Tiruchendur Sri Vaikundam Tiruchendur Express has been struck at the Sri Vaikundam railway station. Around 800 people are stranded there from yesterday, and around 300 people are rescued yesterday, and 500 people still stuck at the railway station near the Sri Vaikundam. And the state NDRF and both teams has been continuously doing the rescue work, and also they are air drafting the food via helicopters to the people. And the state government and central government both are preparing for the relief and rescue works. And the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has rushed to the Delhi to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi to brief about the flood affected area situation and also the relief works. And the government has been included various team, and also the state governor R.N. Ravi also having a emergency meet with the state and central officials regarding the flood relief and rescue works. And particularly this Tuticorin, there is a Kayal Pattinam, 96 centimeters of rainfall has been recorded. It is a historic one. And also in 24 hours there is a 96 centimeter. It is the highest ever recorded in the Tamil Nadu rainfall history, recorded history.
Right.
So the government and the central government are focused on the relief and rescue works, and still people, electricity, transport and railway, particularly Tuticorin airport has been fully surrounded by the water, so the flight service has been fully suspended. For the rescue work is continuously going on.
So that was about the rescue and relief efforts, and also we see that everyday life is disrupted in Tamil Nadu. But is there any word from the IMD as to what would be the prediction for the next few days?
Actually, IMD yesterday announced that there is a yellow alert for today and tomorrow, and still there is a rainfall is recorded in the Western Ghats and nearby areas, and Tuticorin and Kanyakumari is getting a little rain in today morning onwards, and yet IMD need to give a full detail on the how much rainfall is has been recorded in yesterday. So IMD actually continuously saying that this is due to the atmosphere upper air circulation. Due to that, this much of rain has been recorded, and it is due to the Jakarta. There is a air circulation which is giving a wind towards South India. So because of that much of air circulation has been recorded. So due to that much of rain has been continuously pouring, and it is after 1992 this much of rainfall is recorded in the Tamil Nadu southern parts particularly, and recently there is a Chennai flood in the early weeks of this month. So this is the second continuous hit in the state of Tamil Nadu.
All right, we leave it here. Anwar Hassan, thank you so much for joining in with those details. All right, from Tamil Nadu, we now turn focus to Parliament, and we'll get you what all is lined up for the day in both the houses of Parliament. In Lok Sabha, that is the lower house, Hardeep Singh Puri will move the National Capital Territory of Delhi Law Special Provisions Second Amendment Bill 2023 for consideration and passage. The bill aims to provide protection to some unauthorized colonies in Delhi from punitive action, while Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will move the Central Goods and Services Tax Second Amendment Bill 2023 and the Provisional Collection of Taxes Bill 2023 for consideration and passage. Also, 3 revised criminal laws have been listed for passage in the lower house. In Rajya Sabha, that is the upper house of Parliament, Nirmala Sitharaman will move the appropriation number 3 and number 4 Bill 2023 for returning it to the Lok Sabha. An update on the Parliament security breach probe now. A team of police officials from National Capital Delhi have started an inquiry at the house of D. Manoranjan, one of the accused in the December 13th incident. They interrogated his father, Devraj Gaura, along with the family members. Manoranjan is one of the accused who managed to enter the Parliament chamber, and he is now in police custody in the Parliament security breach case. BJP Parliamentary Party meeting is underway in the Parliament Library building. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Party President JP Nadda are present in the meeting. Our correspondent Vikas Sarthi is joining us to get us more. Vikas, we've just given a broad outline of the legislative agenda that is to be taken up in both the houses of Parliament today. Let us spell out, I would want you to spell out more details as to how do we expect the day to be ahead, and also very quickly get us the significant highlights of the legislative business that is to be taken up in both the houses.
Right, Preeti, you just mentioned that 3 bills related to our criminal justice system are likely to be taken up today itself, and in fact more than 15 hours have been allotted on the discussion on these 3 bills. But what we saw yesterday, that a number of opposition MPs have already been suspended for their unruly behavior. So even if this bill is taken up for discussion, that duration may be reduced significantly. As far as the disturbances is concerned in both the houses, despite the suspension of opposition MPs at an earlier occasion also, the trend has been continuing, and today also we expect that opposition MPs again demand a statement from the government on the security breach issue. But just in a few minutes we will be able to know what is the strategy of opposition today itself. Now we are just 3 days away from the conclusion of this winter session, and some important legislations are yet to be taken up. One of them is Bharat Nyaya Sanhita, and another bill which is related to appointment of Chief Election Commissioner. Another election commissioner is also to be taken up by the lower house. So some key important legislation is still pending, but opposition stand is very clear that they will not allow smooth functioning of the House unless their demand is met by the Treasury bench. So it will be clear just in a while what is the strategy of opposition today.
All right, Vikas, you tell us that a report on Parliament security breach incident is expected today. At the same time, you also tell our viewers that the probe into the incident has begun. Get us a quick word on the latest on this. Have any leads been established?
So this investigation has two facets of it. First is that the criminal investigation is being done by the special cell of Delhi police, and apart from it, Speaker has also ordered a high-level inquiry. So that will look into the existing security norms in the parliament and what can be done to improve the current security system. The other is a criminal investigation which Delhi police is conducting. 6 people are already in police custody of Delhi special cell. These people are being interrogated by the assigned officers, and several raids have been conducted in different parts of the countries, and important statements are being recorded. So once the report of the high-level committee of the parliament is ready, the report will be shared with the MPs that what led to this kind of security breach. Though we saw that Chair and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister made a very clear statement, very categorical statement that such kind of incident had also happened in the past as well, and it is a matter of concern, but the internal security is a responsibility of Parliament Secretariat. Government has nothing to do with it, and demanding a statement from the Home Minister is not appropriate. In the past also, the matter had been taken up by the Secretariat only.
All right, Vikas, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. Specially abled children participated in a ramp walk organized by the Institute of Fashion and Jewellery Design in India's Gujarat. Jogeshwari Caves, nestled in India's Mumbai, are marvels that add an intriguing touch to the city. Carved nearly 1500 years ago, these caves are hidden gems that echo the vivid tales of history.
Shiva and Goddess Parvati.
A diamond merchant in India's diamond city Surat created a Ram Mandir temple-themed necklace consisting of 5,000 American diamonds, 2 kilograms of silver. The necklace will be gifted to the Hindu temple being constructed in the northern town of Ayodhya. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour, a specialist foreign lawyer joins the defense team in the national security trial of pro-democracy tycoon Jimmy Lai. In sports, we tell you about the standout encounter scheduled for Champion League's last 16.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back after the week. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. A quick look at the updates from business now. The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, in a recent report has observed that the Indian economy showed robust growth over the past year and the macroeconomic factors are quite strong. Following the conclusion of 2023 Article 4 consultation with India, the IMF noted inflation has on average moderated, although it remains volatile. Employment has surpassed the pre-pandemic level. And while the informal sector continues to dominate, formalization has progressed. The IMF observed that financial sector has been resilient and strongest in several years. and largely unaffected by global financial stress in early 2023. Growth is expected to remain strong, supported by macroeconomic and financial stability. Real GDP is projected to grow at 6.3% in financial year 2023-24 and financial year 2024-25. Headline inflation is expected to gradually decline to the target, although it remains volatile due to food price shocks. Asia-Pacific markets are showing mixed response as the Bank of Japan concludes a policy meeting on Tuesday in which members are expected to take a call on rates. They have been assessing whether economic conditions are falling into place for the bank to begin unwinding ultra-loose monetary settings. The bank governor, Kazuo Ueda, is expected to brief the media on the decision around 6:30 GMT. Investors and market observers expect the Bank of Japan to stick with its negative interest rate policy, according to a Reuters poll of economists. Investors will be watching out for the bank's stance on its yield curve control policy. Bank of Japan currently has a benchmark interest rate of minus 0.1% and is expected to maintain it. Kenya and the European Union have signed an economic partnership agreement to boost bilateral trade in goods, increase investment flows, and contribute to sustainable economic growth. The agreement will grant the East African nations exports duty-free status and unlimited access to the bloc. Both sides had initially installed a draft deal in June after 7 months of negotiations. The EU is one of Kenya's biggest export markets. The deal was approved by the European Union Council last week, and it will now be presented to the parliaments of both sides for ratification before it comes into force. Ecuador's government will cut $1 billion before seeking potential loans to curb the brutal inefficiency. President Daniel Noboa, in an interview, said that the government will cut expenses before taking help from multilateral organizations. The Ecuador president also promised to create jobs and boost investment for the struggling economy through urgent legislative reforms. Ecuador has seen a sharp surge in violence on the streets and in prisons amid high international prices. Make it the right time to sell some of Ecuador's gold reserves to fund the needs of regional and local governments. President Noboa's Phoenix plan for security, including a new intelligence unit and tactical weapons for security forces, will cost around $800 million. Morocco's tourism industry looks set to have had a record year, boosting the wider economy despite recent earthquake and tourist disruption due to the war in Gaza. Tourism as a key source of foreign currency accounts for 7% of the country's GDP, with tourism ministry expecting to hit 14 million number by year-end, a 3 million rise from last year. Aiming to hit 26 million figure by 2030, Morocco has overcome recent natural disasters as well as other disruptions in tourist incoming that in fact caused concern for local economy. With the onset of winter, hotel and hospitality sector is hoping a boost in tourism as it diversifies its services. Jimmy Lai, the Hong Kong media tycoon, is undergoing a national security trial. On the second day of Lai's trial, a specialist foreign lawyer joined the defense team. King's Counsel from New Zealand was appointed after the lawyer from Britain was denied permission by the chief executive. Lawyers say the trial will likely last 80 days. All right, Andrew Wood is joining us from Hong Kong to spell out more details. Andrew, now the millionaire was arrested under a security law which China is accused of using to crush dissent. Help us understand this case better.
Well, that's pretty much. I mean, there's two issues here which that Jimmy Lai is being charged with. One, it's about endangering or threatening national security by colluding with foreign powers. Basically, the substance of the charge is that he went to America, Mr. Lai, and he's alleged to have lobbied American politicians to put sanctions on Hong Kong politicians and officials who'd been involved in tightening laws on behalf of Beijing on freedom of expression. The other part is sedition, in which he's accused of using his newspaper, the Apple Daily, which has since closed down, of using the newspaper or allowing the newspaper to publish seditious articles and to encourage sedition. So those are the two parts mainly of what he's charged with. We're still very early on in the trial. I mean, after we got the news, just before we got the news about the New Zealand lawyer being allowed to join Mr. Lai's team, the defence was arguing that the sedition the sedition charges had been filed too late, that there was a timetable of 6 months after the original allegation was made, and that the charges were actually filed 4 or 5 days after that. At this stage, we don't know whether the judges who've been handpicked by Beijing, national security judges, are going to accept that or not.
All right, Andrew, thank you for joining in with those details. And from here, let's talk of sports now. In cricket, after India's comprehensive victory in the first ODI, the KL Rahul-led outfit will face South Africa in the second ODI at St. George Park. India is on the brink of a series win for the second time on the South African soil. Shreyas Iyer is set to miss the game after his half-century in the first match. India is rising on victory from the first ODI with the help of flawless performances by young pacers Arshdeep Singh and Avesh Khan in the opening game. India will be looking to seal the series in the second ODI. Holders Manchester City will play Copenhagen in the last 16 of the Champions League, while Arsenal will face Porto. Danish champions Copenhagen, who finished above Manchester United in their group, reached the knockout stage for the first time since 2011. The first legs take place on 13th and 14th or 20-21st February, and the second on 5th, 6th or 12th, 13th March. City and Arsenal are seeded, meaning they will play the second leg at home. Record 14-time winners Real Madrid meet RB Leipzig, while Inter Milan runners-up last season play Atletico Madrid, and Bayern Munich will face Lazio. The final takes place at Wembley on 1st June. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.